2 years ago, I filled these raised beds using mostly what I already had on hand instead of buying a lot of expensive soil. I used garden debris, leaves, woody material, and other organic matter that would eventually break down. That video raised a lot of questions, but the biggest one was simple. Did it actually work? Now that it's been 2 full years, I can answer that. And in addition to looking at how these beds have done during that time, I'll also show you what the soil in the bottom looks like a few years later. I've actually filled 14 raised beds this way over the past 7 years, so I've been able to see what happens over time. I'll also share with you 2 real drawbacks to this method that you should know before filling raised beds like this yourself. First, let's talk about what I filled these beds with. In the bottom half, I used rough organic materials like spent sweet potato vines, okra stalks, corn stalks, woody garden debris, pine cones, blueberry bush trimmings, spent plants from previous seasons, early weeds, autumn leaves, straw from a past straw bale garden, chicken bedding and manure, and partially broken down compost. In other words, anything organic that I had available that would eventually decompose. Then I topped the beds off with the most important part, which is about 8 to 10 inches of good soil made from a blend of topsoil and compost. That top layer is where most of the roots of my vegetables actually grow, and that part is key. Now, whenever I talk about filling beds this way, one concern always comes up. People worry about nitrogen tie-up when using materials like wood, straw, or leaves. The theory is that as high carbon materials break down, the microbes doing the decomposition temporarily use nitrogen in the soil, which would leave less available for the plants. It's a reasonable concern, and it's something that many gardeners hear about when learning about soil biology. But after 7 years of filling beds this way and growing different vegetables in 14 different beds, I haven't seen it negatively affect my plants' growth. My beds have grown healthy, productive gardens year after year. I believe that's largely because the carbon-heavy materials stay toward the bottom of the bed, while the top 8 to 10 inches contain quality soil and compost where most of the vegetable feeder roots are located. Even if some of the nitrogen is temporarily tied up deeper in the bed, the plants are primarily feeding in the higher levels of the soil profile. Over time, these materials continue breaking down and they eventually contribute nutrients back into the soil. Each season, I also add fresh compost to the beds, usually about twice a year, which helps replenish nutrients and keep the soil healthy. One of the most interesting moments for me happened when I had to move 3 of my raised beds from my larger garden over here to the kitchen garden. Moving these gave me a rare chance to see exactly what the lower layers looked like after several years. When we pulled them apart, a lot of the material had already turned into dark, rich organic matter. Some pieces were still recognizable, especially thicker wood or stems, but much of it had broken down into something that looked a lot like compost. What started as rough debris was slowly becoming soil-building organic matter, which is exactly the process you want happening in your beds. Now, there's one major drawback to filling beds in this way, and that is the soil settling. When you use rough organic material at the bottom of a bed, it naturally breaks down and compresses over time. As that happens, the soil level drops pretty significantly. If you compare these beds now to when they were first filled, that first season especially, that soil level drops continuously over the year. That's normal, but it does mean that you have to add compost periodically to bring the soil level back up. Because of this settling, I avoid planting perennial crops in any beds that I fill like this. Perennial crops will stay in the same place for multiple years, and as the soil settles, they can slowly sink deeper into the bed. Annual vegetables haven't been affected by this at all since they're replanted each season and they can handle the little settling that it gets. After 2 years with these particular beds and 7 years using this approach overall, my biggest takeaway is that you don't need the perfect expensive soil mix to build productive raised beds. Using organic materials you already have available can work really well, especially when those materials are placed toward the bottom and then topped with a good layer of soil and compost where your plants will grow. As those lower layers slowly break down, they continue contributing organic matter to the soil while you maintain the top layer with compost additions each season. So if you've been hesitant to build raised beds because filling them seems expensive, using what you have on hand can be a practical and effective option. If you'd like to see exactly how I originally filled these beds step by step, watch this video next.